The colorful appearance of that guy made him a little itchy. That guy gave a savage smile and looked up, making Dae-sung completely startled. He couldn't believe his eyes anymore. What the hell had he just seen? At that moment, the other man stood up tall and looked no different from when he was in hell. The system immediately announced that this guy belonged to the Samchung race, requiring him to fight and win. The two of them stood quietly facing each other, observing each other, when suddenly Dae-sung summoned a sword. Looking contemptuously at that guy, he mocked that he was just a cheap fake. And the almighty one with absolute power is Han Dae-sung. Fake Dae-sung doesn't need to say much. Carry his sword and attack immediately and keep it hot. Startled by that quick reaction. But before he could even swing his sword, the guy was already approaching. As quickly as it came, Dae-sung jumped up high and delivered a powerful blow, making him only have time to raise his sword to block. The sword blades collided harshly with great strength. Dae-sung was pushed away while the other man gently landed on the ground. Damn, just because of a few seconds of carelessness, he almost lost his life. While he was busy cursing fake Dae-sung and rushed forward, flashing straight to the spot, he frantically swung his sword, preparing to go down a path of destruction. Dae-sung fell again and was passive and had to raise his sword to block the attack. You bastard dares to play with your father. He curses madly but has no respect for that fake Dae-sung. Both of them continuously launched dangerous sword attacks. The sound of metal colliding with each other was so harsh that no one gave in to the other. But the situation gradually turned around and he fell into a weak position, as the other guy repeatedly slashed his arms and legs. Now Dae-sung bitterly realized that he was about to reach his limit. Unable to withstand the strength and speed of that guy anymore. If the match had lasted any longer, he would have lost the bet and his feet would have gone cold. But determined not to give him time to think, fake Dae-sung had rushed forward with the same move as the captain. I could only stand there with my eyes open as a target for the other guy to hit straight in the middle of his chest. He was hit with that attack and was shot hundreds of meters away. This is the price for disrespecting the beloved male protagonist. Dae-sung appeared vaguely in the white smoke, thinking it was incense burning to send him back to the land of bliss. But no, his hand was still clutching the sword and coughing, holding his chest and pushing him to the point of bleeding because of his own lack of love. How could a real product at a real price be more stupid than a fake one like this? A crazy smile appeared on his face. He was determined to tear that bastard into hundreds of pieces to avoid this feud. Immediately activating the blood demon magic, his whole body burst into murderous rage. Dae-sung seemed to turn into a bloodthirsty devil hiding among people. Immediately sensing a change in tension, Dae-sung immediately raised his vigilance on the fake product. He looked blind and activated his flash, raising his sword and rushing straight towards the real thing. The powerful shop slashed down with a fatal blow that seemed to have cut him in half. But Dae-sung suddenly disappeared right in front of the sword. Then in a blur of smoke appeared behind the other guy, reaching out to grab the fake Dae-sung. His face was marked with blue and purple lines and hissed, "Where are you looking, son?" With just one hand, Dae-sung easily slammed the other man's head straight to the ground, his hand holding tightly to prevent him from letting go. It struggled and immediately swung its sword as fast as the wind to send this bastard back to hell. The second tongue of death slashed down, but fake Dae-sung dodged it within a minute. While he was still completely surprised, it rushed away. Fake Dae-sung flashed a devilish smile, his whole body emitting a strong murderous aura, looking no different from the Dark Prince, God of War of Destruction, Lord of Hell. Dae-sung absolutely did not think that the crazy guy could also get magical blood. Like this, he just prepared a beautiful soul to eat until his mouth was full. Fake Dae-sung was buffed with more strength, like a tiger returning to the forest, wildly rushing to attack. The two demons rushed into a direct attack with clever slashes to destroy the opponent. Angry to the point of going crazy, Dae-sung kept cursing, asking this damn guy to die quickly for his father. In return for that kindness, he gave him a sudden slash. And if he did that, the male lead would have been the mother of his mother. Before he could be happy because he narrowly escaped death, he suddenly let out a painful howl. That attack was just a decoy for the real attack on Dae-sung's back. He stiffened in pain. Humiliation and indignation poured out of the screen. He could only grit his teeth and curse. You son of a bitch. But the angrier he got, the more excited the guy became. Pulling a sword straight along the male lead's body. Blood was pouring out into the walls as if Dae-sung had already died here. Changing the male lead to Dae-sung was a fake. But no, the author still loves him very much. Dae-sung suddenly opened his eyes and his whole body was shaking like a leaf. Outside, there was a constant pounding on the door. Who was the crazy guy who locked the door inside? Panting, he was still in shock and had not recovered from the slash just now. After absorbing the pain, he was logged out. Outside the door, the cleaning lady was upset and didn't understand why the door was locked. She was worried that something bad would happen, so she quickly looked for backup. She inserted the lock into the lock and only needed to turn it again to open it when the scene suddenly shifted to another dimension. Go around and have teleported back to the temple but are in an extremely dangerous situation. Blood from the wound from the slash just now was pouring out like a stream. If he lost here, then all previous efforts would be in vain. Unable to surrender to cruel fate. He must kill that guy. But now I can't stand still. So what's the point in fighting anymore? Please let it all go and let's start from the beginning. Suddenly, in the most dangerous moment, something popped into Dae-sung's head. An archive. In reality, the cleaning lady almost unlocked the door but was called to the third floor to work. Just in time. The girls quickly left, allowing Dae-sung to escape the fate of being discovered in a trance in the urinal area. That means he is still safe inside that door but is about to end up in the temple. Fake Dae-sung is not in a hurry to attack. It seems like he wants to enjoy the feeling of his prey dying in the last few seconds of his life. But sorry love, the archive has been activated. The space portal has opened right next to him. Immediately reaching for something, Dae-sung tried to support his body that was about to collapse. Even though he was in a precarious situation, he still smiled triumphantly. You're dead, son. Now the game begins. Dae-sung took out a blue potion bottle from the inventory, which was the reward received for completing the physical recovery task. But only now did he remember that this was a tonic that could help him recover 20% of his physical strength and stamina. If so, he only needs to drink 5 bottles to reach 100% of the potency. Then he immediately gulped it down. Fake Dae-sung of course did not let that happen. Quickly threw his sword towards him who was busy taking medicine. Luckily, the old man took the burden for him, and once again dodged the attack, and conveniently threw a punch at fake Dae-sung's muzzle, causing it to fly away and completely misalign his jaw. Oh, come on, baby feels that his strength has returned and is more powerful than before. His body has been buffed with more power but is still better. He reached into the storage room again to get the medicine. He needed to quickly drink all 5 bottles to be able to deal with that idiot. While drinking the second bottle, the sole of fake Dae-sung's shoe was less than 10 centimeters from his face. But with his amazing bending skills, he easily escaped this dangerous attack. While hastily drinking the third bottle, the fake guy rushed in and the two rushed to slash at each other. His hand unleashed great moves while his mouth still had time to drink the remaining 2 bottles. The fighting is getting more and more intense. Fake Dae-sung fights harder and harder while real Dae-sung is okay, but it's okay. Even though he took a lot of medicine, his body gradually recovered, but his flexibility did not improve much. Seizing the opportunity while the enemy was distracted from his thoughts, fake Dae-sung rushed forward, aimed right at his throat and grabbed him, causing the already weak male protagonist to take another hit. Now he's like a fish lying on the chopping block, letting the enemy trample on him. With a despicable smile, the imposter pressed his face close, thrusting his sword straight forward, intending to beg for mercy and go dip it in shrimp sauce. But he just opened his mouth and softly said the 3 words archive. Suddenly a sword came out of nowhere and stabbed straight into the other man's stomach. Fake Dae-sung, thinking his attack was countered, quickly looked down, but suddenly the idiot saw the sword crashing into a space gate. Now that I realized it was too late. The imposter had become a skewer of human flesh and he didn't even have a scratch. In the end, The fake doppelganger collapsed to the ground. The winner belonged to the real Han Dae-sung. Even though it was just a copy desk, it still took a lot of effort. If it weren't for the space gate, he would have been lost forever. Luckily, this was just a recovery mission. The system board immediately announced that he had completed all tasks, and the Jade body manifestation rate reached 100%. His body has been restored to its original state, and he can also use the Hell system even in the real world. Suddenly his shirt changed, revealing his strong body. 20 delicious smells for you to eat. There's nothing better than the return of your delicious figure and old strength. But when he looked at the concave scars all over his body, he remembered the days when his stomach ached like cutting tears in hell. Hey system, remember to see if anyone sees him appear in the real world. The system has nothing to do with that. And there are always unread messages. Do you want to read them? In the past, I only knew how to kill and had no friends. So where did I suddenly get these things to return to hell, and there are also multi-level people? Dae-sung had to click to read to see if there was anything interesting. But suddenly dozens of messages popped up in rapid succession. Hell welcomed its supreme ruler, Han Dae-sung, but chose to return to Earth. Taking advantage of that opportunity, the angels hid time and space, pushing the demons into the darkest depths of hell, begging for salvation from the Supreme Being. What kind of shorts are these guys? In the past they beat him like a dog, but now they dare to open their mouths and beg. They're really funny clowns. It turns out that it took 80 years of endless fighting with them to become the Lord of Hell? Suddenly he raised his middle finger in the air, angrily shouted, "Fuck no spring. It hurts, you damn bastards," and then angrily asked the system to quickly bring him back to reality. His recent curse was being broadcast live in a large sphere, in front of countless demons of hell, causing them to roar mournfully. Returning to the hospital, an empty hand fell to the ground and the sounds of counting numbers rang out continuously. 49.50.51. Dae-sung did a handstand and did normal push-ups like weighing sugar in a milk carton. Even though his body worked hard, his eyes were sad as if he were busy thinking about something. As soon as the mother and the doctor opened the door and saw him, they were completely dumbfounded. The two of them stood still outside, not daring to enter. The doctor was sweating profusely and thought that this guy was the one who had awakened the motherfucker. And his mother was extremely worried, because he had never shown any signs of being awake before. According to the doctor's guess, Dae-sung may be a special case, waking up without any unusual symptoms. If this fruit is brought to the research team to dissect and examine, it will bring great wealth. If the children have not been filial, they will harm their mother and worry about it without missing a day. The doctor saw that his mother seemed so worried and said, "The hospital's responsibility only goes up to this point. If anything happens, just go to the association to ask for help." What a consolation that sounds even more restless. Old man. Dae-sung was practicing but still managed to glean the entire content of the story, but didn't understand anything at all. The city still looked as peaceful as the day he left. Sitting in a taxi, the words, "awakened with the association," still echoed in his mind. He was so busy doing his duty that he temporarily forgot about this issue. It seemed like his mother was trying to hide something. After all, in the 10 years he lost consciousness. What happened to the earth? Soon he arrived at an old residential area on the hill. His mother took him in first to go gossip with the neighbor girls. As soon as I entered the house, I saw a hand taking money from the cupboard. And who was this pink-haired kid sitting in a pile, just glaring at him? The little girl was so scared she couldn't speak. She just stared at Dae-sung with wide eyes. Suddenly the mother came in and happily asked her beloved son what he wanted to eat. But he was busy glancing at the strange girl, so he didn't answer. His mother's voice rang out again. "Where have you been these past few days? Jisoo?" Texting but not answering calls and not picking up the phone. Giving birth is a pain in the ass. I'd rather lay an egg and eat it. Hearing the name Jisoo, he was extremely shocked. But when he saw the hand holding those bills, the mother was extremely depressed and stole money to top up Free Fire. Jisoo silently stuffed the money into her pocket and then eagerly ate the quail right before the fight. Jisoo's face was as pale as a goose pooping. Even if it had been 80 years since he'd seen her. How could he forget his only sister? But what else are brothers like this? You remember but your sister doesn't remember who she is? If it's bad then stop it. At that time, Jisoo nonchalantly passed by him and scolded him. He looked so excited. But every day for us was hell. The girl's words interrupted his thoughts. The damage from it was so great that Dae-sung froze. Jisoo quickly ran out into the yard, ignoring her mother's hoarse calls behind her. But when she was almost at the gate, she heard the sound of someone banging loudly and shouting loudly to open the door. Dae-sung glanced away with a cold face and his mother looked clearly confused and worried. Two thugs from the hospital came to the door. The skinny guy tried to scream, "I'm counting to 3, but no one came to open the door. I'm coming in to show you what a festival is." Jisoo and her mother were stunned by the thugs' threats. While Dae-sung, on the other hand, was furious, his mind busy trying to figure out how to deal with these bastards properly. The whole neighborhood was quiet. Only the loud sound of the gate being kicked in, and the extremely chilling shouts of the skinny guy, whose body was like a toothpick and whose mouth was as loud as a street speaker. We social brothers have eyes and ears everywhere. Don't think that we can't find you when we lead that brat out of the hospital. Seeing her daughter still standing in front of the gate, the worried mother called Jisoo to come back quickly. But she angrily showed her face to check the situation. The skinny guy was still cursing harshly but there was still no movement inside. Seeing this fat guy with a scarred face made me suspicious that maybe this idiot remembered the address wrong. The skinny guy immediately asked his brothers to break down the door and rush in to make him bleed. But after screaming so much, his throat was a bit dry. Just as they were about to do that, Jisoo slowly walked out and activated the mute mode. "Damn, your mouth is an asshole and you'll say something bad if you breathe." Then the quail was as fast as the wind in the surprise of the two thugs. After a few seconds, the fat guy pinched his eyes and asked in a loud voice who that bastard was. It seemed like he was the youngest daughter of this family. The skinny girl immediately answered. The gate opened and the skinny guy immediately crawled inside, while the fat guy was still busy looking at Jisoo, curling his lips into a smile filled with despicable lust. His mother quickly pulled out a few bills from her wallet and apologized profusely for leaving the hospital without contacting them first. "But now I only have so much. Can you guys take these coins and have a drink?" Reasoning with the thugs was like water off a duck's back. The mother's wallet and phone were suddenly thrown into the sky. Dae-sung screamed in panic when he saw her being physically impacted in the face by the skinny guy. "Do you think we came all the way here just for these small pieces of money? You idiot!" His mother fell to the ground in pain and fainted, with marks from the other man's punch still on her face. That caused the crazy blood in Dae-sung to rise strongly. That dog must die. After a while, the fat guy with the scarred face leisurely crawled in. But as soon as he stepped inside, he saw the skinny guy falling down right in front of him. Hastily picked up the junior whose nose was bleeding. "What the hell did you just do? You crazy guy!" He cried and pointed his finger in that direction. The scarred face looked up and saw a familiar face. Destined to be this boy with a dirty nose. Dae-sung arrogantly pointed his head at the thug. "You guys ate a tiger's liver so you dared to bring your body here to find me. Right? You're so angry that you're too lazy to provoke him." The fat man growled. "If you don't want to break your leg again, then keep your mouth shut. You should learn to be grateful to those who lent your mother money to keep that bitch's life." Dae-sung slowly approached. "You have nothing to do with the hell I've been through." Then suddenly grabbed the thug's muzzle, making him only say a few words. He grabbed the fat man's face with one hand, waved it high in anger. "No matter how much my mother borrowed from you, I will definitely pay you back 10 times more." Then slapped his face with a slap that exploded. Then he did it 100 times with a full slap without missing a beat, which caused the thug to splatter blood. Dae-sung slapped until his hands were tired before he let go of the fat guy. As soon as he let go, he stumbled and fell to the ground. "Try to endure the pain, you bastard, because it will be a long time before your dad can pay it off. As a gangster, my mother was destined to be beaten until she bled by a brat." While she was angry, she saw a wooden chair right next to her. As quick as it was, he pounced. "You've reached your limit, my child." then madly rushed forward like an animal preparing to smash the chair straight into his head. But there was no way with the male lead. Dae-sung immediately threw a punch, breaking both the chair and the thug's face, causing him to fall backwards in the surprise of the other guy. Seeing that the situation didn't look good, the other guy decided to immediately use the hot item he had on his hip. Pull out your knife to show your strength to him. If you're a good son of a bitch, then jump in and see if I dare to cut you to pieces. Seeing him still unable to stand and still waving the knife back and forth only made him even more mad. Easily grabbed the thug's hand holding the knife, making him turn pale in fear and moan and beg. But that was nothing. Dae-sung broke his wrist for the crime of beating his mother. The knife fell to the ground accompanied by the skinny guy's screams. Both thugs were beaten by him in a minute. The fat man angrily swore he would make his life worse than death. But he forgot who he was quarreling with. He contemptuously grabbed the fat guy's collar. Your dad is so scared that I'll peel off your skin and bones to see if you can speak louder. You idiot. At that moment, a trembling voice rang out. And Dae-sung stopped. Come back soon. Turning around, Dae-sung saw that his mother had already woken up and was trying to stop him from doing something foolish. While he was ignoring the thugs and hastily played cards, the two guys ran out, then quickly jumped into the car and sped away. They still couldn't believe that the weak kid at the hospital suddenly became so strong. How the hell could a kid who had been in a vegetative state for 10 years recover so quickly? But the worst part was that he beat him up in a fight and felt like he was so angry. The skinny guy was worried because he couldn't force them to sign a commitment to give up their bodies. And the old director would beat them both some more. Don't care about that. Right now the fat guy just wants to find a way to kill Dan. He has never been humiliated like today. Just as he was looking out the window, he saw Jisoo walking on the side of the road and quickly shouted to stop the car. When the two thugs noticed their youngest child, the mother was explaining that since the day he fainted, she had had to sell the house and transfer the store. But he never regained consciousness. So even the rent deposit was gone. At that time, an acquaintance introduced her to a place to borrow money from gangsters at high interest rates. However, the interest that her mother and her children could no longer bear was the result of the current situation. As soon as Dae-sung finished speaking, Mom immediately asked about Jisoo. She's still a student, but why does she work so much? Tears appeared in the corners of her mother's eyes. Last year, she was injured while at work. She felt sorry for her mother's hard work. So Jisoo quit school and went to work to take care of her family. During the day she went to the gas station. At night she went to the convenience store. How hard it was for her. Her mother's voice trembled every time she sobbed. But Dae-sung blamed his mother for not stopping him. Because at that age he had to go to school. Of course, she stopped her daughter from doing so. But if she didn't work, she wouldn't have any money to treat this damned child. He worked hard to get treatment, but he didn't make any progress. So everyone was depressed and desperate. A few months ago, for unknown reasons, Jisoo suddenly left home, making his mother feel like she was sitting on a fire every day waiting for her. Dae-sung frowned and told her mother not to worry too much. Maybe she was going through puberty, so her psychology was a bit unstable. But the mother was also very concerned about this son. Looking at his aggressive appearance just now, she was worried that there would be another leopard in the house. Dae-sung didn't dare say anything, so he had to keep quiet. But suddenly the phone rang to save him. The mother bent down to pick up the iPhone 6 lying on the ground. Her face turned pale when she saw the thugs calling. Dae-sung offered to let him answer the phone and then said in a loud voice, "Do you guys have anything else you want to deny?" But he didn't understand what the other end of the second said. But he suddenly widened his eyes, gritted his teeth and cursed angrily. "I'm scared of these bastards." The car of the two thugs went into the city center. Poor Jisoo was taken away by them. The girl kept struggling, making the fat guy angry. This bitch kept her mouth shut. Your brother has hit a fire ant nest. If you want to live, then behave properly with your brothers. Then he turned and spoke into the phone, asking him to prepare 100 million won to ransom people. In my opinion, with your skills, it's not difficult to earn that much. Your face shows a threatening look. If you want your children to return safely, you'd better not play tricks on me. Us. Hearing his sister's screams and the son of a bitch's challenge made him extremely angry. His hand tightened around the phone as if he wanted to crush it. Seeing this, the mother immediately knew something was wrong, so she was extremely worried. But he reassured her that it was nothing and quietly went out. That action of her son made her even more nervous, forcing him to promise not to do anything dangerous. She couldn't bear the sight of her son going to prison for harming others. Just thinking about it makes me unable to breathe. If this happened, she would probably lack blood flow to her brain and die. Hearing those earnest instructions, Dae-sung stood still. This place is not hell, so he can't just kill those scum at will. But he won't allow pests like them to exist. Brother, this is hard to think about. Just as he was pondering what to do, the system panel suddenly appeared right in front of him. The mother saw her son suddenly standing rooted to the spot and thought he was about to have a fit and called out a few times. But Dae-sung calmly turned around and said, "Mom, don't worry, I'm still okay," and even gave a dangerous, fake smile. "So don't worry, Dad." Returning to the beloved system board, it appears to send out a one-time base skill unlock reward to celebrate the return of the Lord of Hell. Dae-sung had to go to another place to dare to open it. It should have been given to him sooner. It just suddenly appeared without any warning. The system offers 4 skills for him to freely choose from. Level B Poison, Level A Invisibility, Level D Hellfire, and finally Summoning Dark Souls. All these delicious skills make him hesitating and pondering for a long time. Only later will he be able to decide which one to choose. At that time, at a certain boarding house, thugs were dragging Jisoo inside. The skinny guy with the bandaged arm was worried. That brat probably wouldn't have dared to come all the way here. Right? On the contrary, the fat guy seems extremely arrogant. "Don't worry about your white teeth. You forgot where this is. You idiot." They got into the elevator and the guy continued to communicate with that bad guy. "We're still keeping this girl. Don't worry about that brat doing anything rash." But the skinny guy didn't care because he was busy teasing Jisoo, making her extremely uncomfortable and only felt helpless for a few hours. Suddenly, the lights in the elevator rang a few times as if there was an electrical leak and then immediately turned off. The fat guy saw electric sparks flashing back and forth above his head. He thought there was a problem with the elevator, but he didn't pay much attention. Suddenly, right under the fat guy's feet, something was rising. He smelled something unusual and immediately looked down. Stunned, he fell back when he saw that strange thing had risen up to its stomach and then completely revealed Han Dae-sung, emitting a strong murderous aura. Laughing and mocking the fat guy's fear, he scornfully said, "Don't you want money? I'm here to give you money, son." Dae-sung was able to get up from the ground like that because he had just chosen the skill to summon dark souls. A stream of dark power immediately flared up around his body and a magical blue flame burned in his hand. Trying to control his anger, Dae-sung activated this technique immediately. The fire gradually died down and turned into a dark blue liquid. He immediately clenched his fist and poured it onto the ground. Soon from a small puddle it became a large magic circle. Dae-sung tore off the piece of the fat guy's bloody sleeve, then dropped the thing onto the hands that were reaching out from the magic circle, coldly asking them to follow this blood trail and show him the way. Those hands quickly grabbed the piece of shirt like a dog sniffing out prey. So in just a blink of an eye, he teleported to the elevator in the surprise of the thugs. The skinny guy reacted quickly using his remaining good arm to throw a punch. But he easily dodged it and grabbed it straight in the face like a toy, not holding back and brutally pounding its head on the ground. With just one hit, the thug fainted and he was foaming at the mouth, looking so pitiful that he couldn't stand it. Still not completely shocked by his presence, the fat guy, hiding in the corner of the elevator, said fearfully, "You're lucky you were the one who woke up after that brat." Hearing that, Jisoo in the other corner also looked confused. The only person who didn't understand what an awakened person was Dae-sung. He was so angry that he still had to ask what it was. But in response he only got the fat man's screams. "Don't you dare pretend like you don't know." At that moment the elevator door opened. He quickly ran out and screamed at the guys standing in front. But as soon as he finished speaking, He was hit right in the back of the head and fell headfirst to the ground. Unconscious. Witnessing such a scene, the thugs outside rushed up with sticks, shouting loudly to beat that bastard to death. Dae-sung's murderous aura came out of the elevator, causing the electric lights to blink continuously. One guy quickly jumped up and hit the tree straight at him. But it was like it was hitting the air. Suddenly a black streak of water floated in the air. He suddenly appeared right behind that guy, making the thugs pale in fear. Dae-sung quickly delivered a fatal kick to the other guy's face, crushing his head. Seeing this, his accomplice swung his iron rod up to strike it down. But he quickly pulled his leg back and jumped up to punch him in the face. With his inherent strength and newly buffed skills, he moved as fast as a ghost, skillfully weaving through the narrow hallway, giving each guy a punch in the face. But at this moment he acted exactly like a real ghost. The lights flickered and went out. His body was like smoke that no one could catch. The hallway light is not due to any negative energy but because of the influence of a terrible energy source. So it flickers like that. In just a few short seconds, Dae-sung easily knocked out dozens of thugs. The atmosphere was still burning. His feet slowly walked towards the elevator because his sister was still in there. Taking off his hood, Dae-sung gently reassured his younger sister who was sitting trembling in the corner. "Don't be afraid. Everything is okay." He quickly removed the tape from her mouth and the string from Jisoo's hand and chased her home first. Seeing him walking out, Jisoo worriedly asked, "Where are you going? Why don't you come home with me?" Cold as ice, he glanced over and said he still had something to deal with and he would return when it was done. Seeing this careless appearance of her brother, Jisoo was speechless and could only widen her eyes in surprise but did not dare to stop. Dae-sung was left alone, looking up at the sky arrogantly, as if this world belonged to your father. As soon as he left that place, the hallway lights went out, leaving a group of unconscious people lying on the floor. In the dim light, a pair of feet quietly walked step by step up the stairs. Putting his hands in his pockets, he calmly walked up without any fear, accidentally bumping into a few guys who were smoking. Dae-sung is tired of whining, so he has to beat these damn fries to death? Just a simple sentence like that made the other guys reveal themselves, making him have to use force again, which was annoying. Suddenly there was a loud sound. The windows of the gangster headquarters shattered. At one place, the phone rang continuously. A hand with a tattoo of braised carp picked up the phone. And this spoiled rich man immediately cursed when he heard it. "I told you not to call when I go to the sauna. You idiots. If you're already dead, you'll still be in the sauna." The other end of the phone replied trembling. "Boss, go to the office immediately." The big brother shouted so loudly that the person next to him was afraid to pee. "No dog would dare to come to me and bite me." But the other end of the line only had time to speak quickly. "Please hurry up and turn off the phone." Listening to the long squeaking sound, Big Brother Datu was so angry that he turned his jaw out in anger and crushed the red iPhone. His face showed terrible anger. If he caught anyone who dared to interrupt this relaxing sauna session, he vowed to skewer that person's whole house to death. Returning to the other boarding house, the glass door was broken and bodies were lying around, blocking the entire path. In another room, a man wearing a black suit saw him and was extremely scared. His whole body trembled like a leaf. Dae-sung slowly walked towards him. His hands were bare, but his anger radiated, enough to make this bald guy afraid of peeing his pants. While coldly looking at it with half an eye, suddenly a loud explosion rang out accompanied by thick smoke and dust. Dae-sung was startled and looked over to see a tall, muscular man rushing towards him like a bull ramming into a wall. The large hand landed right in front of him and pressed him hard to the ground flat like a shrimp. The big brother scowled with contempt. "This brat with a dirty nose dares to destroy your business. Are you the one who attacked my juniors?" Dae-sung was pinned to the floor and couldn't raise his head. What was this terrible power? Thinking back, when he used his power, both Mother and Jisoo were not too surprised. Was it because they were used to the existence of people with this kind of ability? His hand suddenly grabbed the other guy's thigh-sized arm because he was busy doing the task of restoring his physical strength. So Dae-sung still didn't have time to find out what happened in the real world. But to defeat this big guy was just child's play to him. A series of dark hands rose up to grab him. However, the big brother was not a novice, so he was easily recognized. Immediately tore off his sleeve, and as quickly as a squirrel avoided the other thing's attack range by jumping backwards. Big brother Dae-tu immediately realized that he was not a normal person. There was a high possibility that this guy was an awakened person. Dae-sung brushed off the dust on his body and glanced sharply at that guy. Are you also an awakened person that the others talked about? The sinister big brother laughed so hard that he didn't think the kid was scared of his power. A powerful source of energy immediately burst out of his body, and that guy would fill him with the 18th level of hell before the king of hell. As soon as he heard the word hell, he immediately got angry. What do you know about hell? Suddenly the big brother's outer layer disappeared, and his body suddenly swelled up like Huck the Green Giant. However, he had also concentrated his strength in his hands. While the thug was still busy showing off his strength, he punched him straight in the face, catching the blow, and the big brother flew away. His face clearly visible, the look of horror before realizing what had just happened. Big brother, if you can be defeated so easily like that, you are too weak. After saying that, he threw another shot, causing the other guy to shoot far away, sitting flat against the wall. He didn't understand why he was so easily beaten and bruised. Unable to accept the truth, his already deformed face became even more unsightly. But before he could show off any skills, he was kicked right in the face. Dae-sung was lovingly giving him a kick to his stupid face. His trash like you doesn't even deserve to go to hell. You dog, you constantly bother my family. Right? Every sentence that came out was a kick that made the other guy cry in fear. This is the SSS level awakening. So why should we quickly find a way to survive from this crazy guy? Trying to hold back 2 tears, he suddenly screamed enough and asked you to spare my life. Because of his broken teeth, the words he said were no longer clear. Tremblingly told him he could get as much money as he wanted. Looking at his puffy face, he looked guilty and didn't care. But as soon as he saw the word money, he immediately stopped fighting. The boss trembled and pointed towards the safe right near the water bottle and the bookshelf in the corner. If you have a heart, then this brother also has a heart. I won't refuse your favor. After saying that, he immediately walked towards that place. The big brother was just waiting to be able to play cards and sneak right in. Dae-sung looked at the other guy's fleeing form in surprise, then turned around and told the bald guy he was hiding under the table in fear. If you don't run fast, I'll catch you and beat you to a pulp, making a loud noise that shook the whole building. In the underground parking garage at that time, Big Brother Dae-tu was extremely angry. Today's humiliation will definitely be remembered and give him back 1,000 times more painful death. But Dae-sung appeared behind him like a ghost. You forgot to tell me a safe. You bastard. It made him stand still. Frightened, the foggy eyes glanced at him in the car's rearview mirror. They stuttered, not understanding when Dae-sung got into the car. But only the hands of the hateful souls reached out to grab its face. And Dae-sung's voice echoed. It doesn't matter what I do. The important thing is that no matter which corner it hides in, he can find it easily. But the other hand gradually reached out and grabbed the big brother's jaw, causing him to only gulp like a dying dog and then let out a scream full of pain. Dae-sung is on the roof of the building using a space portal to get money from the safe. He stole a total of 532 million won. Looking at the pile of money in front of him, he wondered how long he could live like this. It would be great if he could buy an apartment in Seoul. Just thinking about it made him smile. If you have a lot of money, what can you do? Of course, you have to go to the mobile world and buy a phone right away so you don't become an antiquated person. The seller enthusiastically introduced him to the latest horizontal foldable phone at a great price of only 2.999.000 VND. As for Dae-sung, he was busy wondering about the manly hopping phone. Seeing this, the salesman cheerfully said, "This one is especially loved by women. The price is much cheaper than that one. You can buy it. Give it to your girlfriend. I'm sure she'll fall head over heels in love with you." Do women love it so much? Dae-sung just stopped at that point. The salesman saw him standing there, thinking that he was raising the price too high. Then quickly said, "We also have an installment payment service if you want. I will support it, aid." But he calmly let out a sentence to close the order, making the salesman freeze. He slapped a stack of fresh money on the table and Dae-sung asked to take both, making that guy extremely happy. He was truly a god of wealth. Talent comes. His voice of thanks echoed out into the street and he carefully warned him that the next time he wanted to buy a phone, he must definitely stop by here. When he got home, he immediately put the bag containing the new phone on the table. "You see, I'm sure you'll be very happy here." Suddenly, his mother called out to him to go out to eat, but he immediately replied that he had something to do and had to go out. Opening the door and looking in like any other Asian mother, people immediately texted me that I still had to invite him out to eat. But suddenly, the old woman had already disappeared. And when she became angry, she thought the house was haunted. In the evening, the street was brightly lit at a barbecue restaurant with a fan blowing loudly. Chan-ho was waiting for someone, so he ordered a whole table full of food. Of course, he was waiting for his wise friend Han Dae-sung to come in. Chan-ho's face was dumbfounded when he saw him walking towards him completely healthy. The sizzling sound of grilled intestines sounded attractive, making the two guys immediately kick the wine glasses to dip their bellies. Chan-ho excitedly welcomed Dae-sung out of the hospital and asked him if he had any plans for the future. Taking a sip of wine, he just blandly said that we still have to see, causing Chan-ho to immediately go to class with a serious face. "Now we are no longer immature high school kids. You need to seriously reconsider yourself. Go." But Dae-sung doesn't have any because he's busy drowning in alcohol. Trying to appear calm and quickly pick up the piece of meat, he asked Chan-ho if he could buy a house with 500 million, making him extremely surprised. He chewed the meat without saying a word. So Chan-ho used all that money to rent a small apartment on the outskirts of Seoul. "Son," Dae-sung immediately asked again, "how much would it cost to buy an apartment in the center of the capital?" Chan-ho raised his glass of wine and drank it. It was about 1 to 2 billion or so. Then he smiled and said to calm down Dae-sung. "The world has changed a lot since you fell down." But he still didn't answer. Just silently drank another cup of sweet wine that made me drunk. Dae-sung was now on Cloud 9 flight mode. Chan-ho had no choice but to hold back while grilling meat. But as an extrovert, he couldn't stand this quiet atmosphere. "I have to say that I've heard everything his mother told me. Tell me the truth. Are you an awakened person?" Dae-sung has been so miserable ever since he woke up. Everyone keeps talking about waking up and not waking up, but no one has ever explained to him what that is. Seeing that, Chan-ho laughed hysterically. "Oh my god. It turns out you don't even know what that is. Sorry, dear friend." Outside the restaurant, while smoking a cigarette, Chan-ho told Dae-sung what happened after he fell. A strange portal suddenly appeared, leading to strange phenomena taking place at some places. Country. However, humans controlled it, but only a short time later many monsters poured out from those gates. They are both numerous and ferocious and constantly attack humans. Even though they used many advanced weapons, they could not touch a single hair on the monster's legs. As for people, they are increasingly suffering more and more serious damage both mentally and physically. Dae-sung immediately wondered if even guns and cannons were useless, letting out a breath of smoke and a long sigh. Like I said, no common weapon can hit him. But that was years ago. Humans created the Auror weapon, which was made from those monsters to fight them. And those who could use that weapon were called the name of the awakened person. Chan-ho seriously pointed straight at him and said, "Are they just like you, Dae-sung?"